Hi there, I'm Professor Jessica Owley, and I'm going to be teaching environmental law this spring. And for the first time, we're opening up this class as a 1L elective. And so I wanted to tell you a little bit about it because I know it's the only class you get to choose your 1L year. And so you might want to think a lot about what it is, but I would love to see you in my course, Environmental Law. What the heck is that? This is an introductory course, what we often call a survey course, where you get to learn a lot about different small areas of the environmental law, all things that could probably be a whole class within themselves, right? So we're going to cover the main concepts of environmental protection, along with some administrative law and some judicial review in the environmental arena. So how courts are going to look at the environment. Along the way, you're going to learn a lot about statutory interpretation, how to read a law, how to read a statute, something that we might not get a lot of practice doing in our first year. We're also going to spend a little time, as I mentioned, talking about administrative law, so learning a little bit about all of those agencies, which means we're incredibly acronym heavy class. You could learn many acronyms along your way here to figure out how agencies and the federal government works. And while we do have a focus on the federal government, we do stop and take time here and there to talk about state law, common law, and sometimes even local governments, cities and counties, and the laws that they make. After considering some of the major constitutional hurdles in environmental law and in the regulation of environmental law, I'm going to introduce you probably to pieces of the Constitution you've never thought about. We're going to then examine the major federal environmental statutes, and these include the National Environmental Policy Act, the Clean Water Act, the Clean Air Act, and hazardous waste laws. So a lot of the focus in our course is on pollution. So while we would like to think that environmental law is actually about these beautiful landscapes we have behind me here, a more accurate picture of environmental law is probably that we're talking about this landscape behind me now, right? So how do we deal with these really impactful things in our communities? So that means we're going to investigate the emergence of environmental regulation, environmental justice issues revolving them, and what are some of the different remedies that we apply. I hope by the end of the class, you'll have a basic understanding of what environmental law is, some ideas about what environmental lawyers do or what environmental careers are. But also environmental law is something for people who practice in all types of areas. Any big company needs to be thinking about and complying with environmental law. Any of you interested in maritime law, real estate development, all of these projects, business law, all kind of end up talking a lot about environmental law, and it's handy to know along the way. If you're just interested in another area of law that might be involving the Constitution or agencies or statutes, it's also a helpful class just to get you practice with interacting with those types of things and learning about them. So that's what's going to be covered. A little bit about the style of the class. We will have a textbook in this class, plus some supplementary readings. We'll have everything on a Blackboard page. I've gotten lots of practice with Blackboard, so you'll get a lot of interface and things like that there. The method of an evaluation for my class is also probably a little unusual for some of you, unless you've taken a class with me before, which is that there's multiple assignments throughout the semester, including sometimes group assignments and role plays. And I'll try and do as many of those during class time as possible, so there shouldn't be kind of a lot of things added to your schedule and we can kind of knock them out there. They're really good opportunities to get to know your fellow students better and work with them a little bit more. So I've also been asked to talk a little bit about what my interest in this subject area is and how I got involved in environmental law. Environmental laws, I believe, are one of the most pressing, if not the most pressing problem in our world today. They affect everyone, everywhere, although not equally so, as we'll see. So I went to law school to study environmental law. I had already committed to working in the field in some other way. I wasn't sure how. I wanted to do environmental policy work. So I started off, and I have actually a master's at JD and a PhD in environmental science, policy planning, and law. And after all of that schooling all out at Berkeley in California, I practiced land use environmental law at a big firm in San Francisco, which I absolutely adored. I really enjoy the practice of environmental law. In my experience, I've worked on a nonprofit, plaintiff side firm for local governments, and on and in a big firm, even with just kind of a relatively short practice career before becoming a law professor. I've been teaching environmental law 12 years or so here at law schools. Before that, I taught undergrads at Berkeley, and I enjoy both teaching and kind of the practice and the exploration. My personal interest area tends to focus on land conservation and climate change. I'm particularly interested in private land conservation. And I spend a lot of time thinking about how we can use laws and policies to make the world a better place. So, and I'm always eager to hear the different things that bring people to the classroom, because I know we have a lot of different interest areas out there, and we can bring them together within the classroom setting and pull together all the different things you might be interested in and show you why environmental law is important, has an important role to play in them.